Welcome to the Skull King Football Podcast, presented by Vox DFS Firelines. Now, here are your hosts, Justin and Ryan Skullrood.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Skull King Fantasy Football Podcast. Welcome to episode 10. We have made it through 10 episodes. Thank you for sticking it through with us. Once again, Skull King Fantasy Football Podcast is brought to you by Vox DFS Firelines at voxdfs.com. You can catch this podcast on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and Podcast Garden. Once again, I'm your host, Justin Skullrood, and with us as always, Ryan Skullrood, the founder of Skull King Fantasy Football website.
Hey, everybody. Don't forget we're also on YouTube.
Yep. So the video will be on YouTube as always. Once again, just to give a quick rundown of our show today, we're going to cover a little bit of DFS news, a little bit of an injury update, as much as we focused the last episode on injuries. There were so many injuries, and there's a few more. Sorry, Cleveland fans. It doesn't get any better for you. A little bit of start-sits. Once again, recap last week's Pick'em and Stick'em game. Look to see who won.
Ugh.
An individual with two thumbs. That's this guy right here. But we'll also get into this week's episode of that. And so before any ado, we will get into some injuries. It came out since this last episode of the show. The Dante Moncrief has a serious shoulder injury and will be out for 4 to 6 weeks. Ryan, how do you think this affects the Colts offense moving forward, and what the fantasy implications are?
Well, this makes things a little bit better for Dwayne Allen in the red zone. This may actually continue the rise of Jack Doyle, which I just
Doyle rules.
No, O'Doyle rules, not
Doyle
rules.
Don't ruin my joke.
So I think those two will get a boost. Obviously, now with the two wide receiver set, they will be running a lot more of Philip Dorsett, so he'll get more of a chance. The problem is Dante Moncrief was the only big body wide receiver in the red zone, and so now you have two little guys on the outside. So I don't,
And Doyle.
So you've got Doyle and Allen on the inside so the two of them will be getting a lot of the red zone targets, I'm guessing, just because they're bigger bodies, and maybe getting some deep shots down the field with Dorsett and Hilton. Honestly, they could struggle a little bit simply because San Diego's defense did a good job of shutting down Allen Robinson and Allen Hurns last week. Of course, the game was in San Diego, so I mean that may have a little bit to do with it. But this game is going to be in Indianapolis on the fast turf, so it could help them out a little. But the San Diego defense, for the most part, they have a decent defensive backfield that can stop wide receivers. It's their defensive line that can't stop, water. So.
Yeah. I think Indianapolis is going to use more of the double tight end sets. It's something that they have been very, very efficient at in the past. So I look for them to do that, because who really knows who the third wide receiver is at this point? They're definitely not fantasy relevant. And so moving on, Thomas Rawls, according to reports today, is on track to be according to coaches, he's on track for Sunday. I still don't have him startable. I think what Christian Michael showed last week, outside of the fumble once again, is that he is worthy of some snaps. And I think a healthy Thomas Rawls, especially with his injury in the offseason and now the leg contusion, I think a healthy Thomas Rawls is a very, very good Thomas Rawls. So I expect him to sit this week. Or at least not be as involved this week.
Yeah, he may not be all that involved. I'm fine with Christian Michael getting a little bit more work. San Francisco's defense does, again, it's a division rivalry, San Francisco and Seattle. their defense did do a pretty good job of stopping up Gurley as well. So I think Seattle could have a little difficulty running the ball. It's a lot of it's going to depend on how Wilson's ankle is doing to be able to move around and pass the ball to help open up the running game. So.
For those of you who had Adrian Peterson, I want to say a heartfelt apology. It's not looking good. There's more to the knee injury than was originally thought. He's going to be out for a couple of months. If I was an AP owner, you should have dropped him. The trick is that news didn't really come out to today. So holding on to him was probably relevant today. Hopefully you were smart enough to try and go after Asiata or McKinnon with your waiver wire pickup in anticipation for that to be dropped this week. I know original indications were that there was an outside shot of him only missing 1 to 2 weeks. But who do you like better, Asiata or McKinnon, for those of the individuals who hopefully got them in replacement of Adrian Peterson?
Or if you were like me, you drafted Jerick McKinnon figuring that eventually AP was going to break down and hoping that this year would be the year.
I don't know. I don't know if this is as much to the breaking down as much as it is. It was a unfortunate twist of his leg, which early indications were that it was an ankle, not a knee. But I don't see this as the wear and tear. He didn't get out of the gates early or very well last year, but still was very, very productive last season, and will not know this season because he's going to be out.
Yeah, so, getting back to the question, again, PPR, they're saying that Jerick McKinnon is going to get – they're looking at like a 65-35 split is what some of the estimates are. Jerick McKinnon, again, like I said in the last episode, is going to be between the 20s, and Asiata is going to get a lot of the short yardage and vulturing the touchdowns. So for this week, I don't like either one of them because they're going up against Carolina. And I believe that game is it's in Carolina. So I don't like either one of them for this game. So I think again for PPR, you're probably better off with McKinnon. He'll be more involved in the pass game. Standard. If Asiata is still out there, I know a couple of my leagues Asiata is still out there. So that he would be a solid pickup if you got room on the bench. So.
Marcus Wheaton should be good to go. Indications are that he will be available this week, starting for Pittsburgh. In most leagues, he was drafted in expectation of him being able to play. I don't like him currently where his value is originally because he's on the outside now, and he hasn't really done a lot. Hasn't had a lot of success on the outside. He's done very, very, very well in the slot, but with Martavis Bryant not being able to play this year, he's going to be moved over to the outside with tougher matchups against corners. At best, he would be a flex play for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Moving on, Antonio Gates is uncertain for Week 3. I didn't see any sort of indications of this before today. So
this one's new today.
Yeah, hopefully you have a different option at tight end just because they want to make sure that Antonio Gates plays all season. So, once again, game time decision. If he's available, play him, but have somebody in the waiting if he can't go. What I find ironic is to kind of do a little bit of a brag, I traded last week Josh McCown and Antonio Gates in a trade. And it doesn't matter who the other players were. Both of Antonio Gates and Josh McCown got injured, so I think I won that trade. But last but certainly not least is more bad news for Cleveland. Corey Coleman broke his hand today, and anyone who owns Terrell Pryor or Crowell, you have all of the offense for Cleveland. I don't.
They may start splitting out Duke Johnson in this slot now.
What's unfortunate is Cleveland. I was expecting to do much better this year.
I wasn't.
Well, much better than the Cleveland Browns we usually know. But now, at this point, lick your wounds and get ready for the draft. I mean, week 2, I know that's sad, but week 2, and you are the infirmary ward of the NFL. You're now on your 3rd quarterback, and going back to last season, this is the 5th straight week where you have started a different quarterback. So if I'm Cody Kessler, I'm not sitting in that pocket for nothing.
Watch. Terrell Pryor will get halfway through the game, and then he'll be the starting, and then he'll be the quarterback.
That could work. But
Start him. If you got a deep enough league, start him as a flex just in case.
Here's a random question, because this was talked about a little bit earlier, and we didn't talk about this before the show. Who has a better shot of starting at quarterback this week? Terrell Pryor or Julian Edelman?
Julian Edelman.
Okay.
I was wondering. That's where you were going to go.
He warmed up, or indications were that he was doing a little bit of work.
He's been getting practice snaps at quarterback throughout the week to prepare just in case Bissett gets injured.
What a football season. So, Ryan, I'm going to let you take it away with our DFS information. Once again, brought to you by VoxDFS.com.
All right, so we're going to go over some of the value plays going on DK. DK is DraftKings is my kind of go-to when it comes to DFS league, simply because it's the full point PPR. I love full point PPR. It puts a lot more emphasis on the high target wide receivers, which is how I play my season-long games and the type of and basically the way that I draft. So I want to give a quick shout out to the Vox DFS. I got a chance today to do a 1-hour Q&A in one of their chat rooms, just talking some football, talking start sit, DraftKings or DFS values, and so just want to give a quick shout out. Thank you again to Brad, who runs Vox. Shout out to Brad. Thanking him for giving me a chance to get on there and share a little bit of what I know, and to all the Vox DFS subscribers who have trusted that team with being able to help them out with their lineups. You guys, again, you've picked a great group, and just wanted to let you know that I really enjoyed being part of that Q&A with you guys today. So, all right, so let's get into some of the DK values that I've got for DraftKings. What I've tried to do the last week was really look at guys that are going to give you great value, who are going to be I go more with like the sleeper picks. I love picking sleepers. So this week, what I've got is I've got a couple guys that are above that $5,000 threshold that I usually go with, simply because I love their matchup and I would love to have them in my lineup. Starting with, not to pick on Cleveland like we always do, but we're starting with Jarvis Landry, who, again, Miami is going up against Cleveland. I believe this is actually Miami's first home game, so this could be really huge. This could be just an absolute blowout of a game. Jarvis Landry right now is $6,600 on DraftKings. So I mean that's a pretty decent value. He's going to get a lot of catches, a lot of targets, and really the Cleveland defense is just decimated. And so to go along with him, I've got Ryan Tannehill as a great quarterback to throw in your lineups. To stack the two of them. That's only at $12,800 towards your budget. So it still gives you a chance to if you want to pick up an AJ, maybe an AJ Green, although he's got a little bit of a tough matchup going up against Denver. But if you want to say spend big and go Antonio Brown, if you want to do a full slate and take and out of Julio Jones going up against New Orleans. Those two values right there will really give you a chance to do that. So, and it, great stack to have, if Landry can manage to get in the end zone, to double up on the points with Landry and Tannehill. All right, so now if we go into the, our under $5,000 values. I said it last week. The guys that I picked, I got to be honest, we had a little trouble last week with the guys we picked. Duke Johnson against Baltimore. It was the Isaiah Crowell show last week for Cleveland. There was I want to say that the $1 million winner on DraftKings had Crowell and Stephon Diggs in his lineup. I mean, you talk about an awesome lineup. His highest paid guy was David Johnson, and he was his lowest scoring player. TJ Yeldon, the game script did not go his way. San Diego jumped all over them, and so he did okay, but he really didn't return value. Theo Riddick, for some reason, wasn't. I mean, at $4,300, you thought he was a great value, especially after Amir went down. You're thinking, okay, Riddick's going to just take over, and it just didn't seem to happen. Victor Cruz had a good game, 4,300, so he provided some value. So going to this week, I'm going back. I'm digging back into the Theo Riddick mold. They're going. Detroit is going up against Green Bay, and Green Bay is struggling this year. Their defense looks okay. Their offense does not. So I like Theo Riddick at $4,900. Charles Sims is now the man in Tampa Bay. He's a $4,900 guy that he is already the passing down guy. He's going to get more rushes. I want to say that who's Tampa Bay going up against? The Rams. So he may have a little bit of trouble running, but I think he'll get enough passing down work to really provide value. Isaiah Crowell, like I was saying, $4,700 going up against Miami. Christian Michael seemed to have a pretty good, had a pretty good game stats-wise against Miami, at least in terms of average yards per carry. So I think Crowell could provide. He has a decent matchup and could provide some good value for you. If we move on to a few wide receivers that I really like this week, Tyrell Williams for San Diego. They're going into Indianapolis, and Indianapolis defense, again, they're all decimated. Their secondary, I don't think any of them are starters from last year at this point. So Tyrell Williams is that big body wide receiver that Rivers loves throwing to. Plus, on top of that, the guy runs a 4.4 340. He's had a couple of very productive games. Only 3 catches in the last couple of games, 3 catches apiece. But he's going for close to 100 yards and a TD in each of those games. So he's a good value. Anquan Bolden, another Detroit line going up against Green Bay. He has kind of taken over the Golden Tate role. Getting those quick, short passes underneath that, I really like Anquan Bolden, at a great value of only $4,200. So I think he could be a really good value for you to throw in there, especially if Marvin Jones is drawing the big coverage, and if they push Tate out to the outside, Anquan Bolden could find himself in a couple of good positions down underneath. Especially getting into the red zone. So one wide receiver that I know Jess and I are really big on in season long is Quincy Enunwa. This guy is a beast. I mean, he is a truck of a man. Big body, a lot like Brandon Marshall. And with Brandon Marshall, we still are not sure if Brandon Marshall is going to be playing. What his status is. Even if he does play, he could possibly be a little bit limited. Fitzgerald loves throwing to Enunwa, so he could be a really good value. $4,800. He's pulling in a lot of catches, getting a lot of yards. So I really like Enunwa this week. Whether you're playing him in DFS or you have him season long, he will be going up against KC, and they've got a decent secondary, but again. The Jets are throwing the snot out of the ball. And so Quincy Enunwa could be a real beneficiary of those targets. And then a couple of value tight ends. Justin and I may get into one of these a little bit later, but Dennis Pitta is basically the short yardage target for Joe Flacco in Baltimore. Last week, I want to say he had like 9 catches for 100 yards. He seems to be healthy this season. So he's a great target to look at. Let's see, who's Baltimore playing this week? I don't have that right in front of me. Dang it! Looking again. Justin, who's Baltimore playing?
Baltimore. Hang on. Let me pull that up here.
Yeah, I know we're somewhat unprepared on this one, but that's okay.
Well,
oh wait, here we go. They're at Jacksonville.
That's right.
Jacksonville can't stop anyone. So
I didn't have that off the top of my head.
that could be a really good game. A really good game for Pitta. And then the last one, Jacob Tamme. Whether you're playing a Monday, Thursday, a Monday to Thursday slate, or if you're playing a primetime slate of Sunday night, Monday night, where it's just 4 teams, Jacob Tamme at only $3,200 could be a real great value for you. Could really light it up. He's getting a lot of looks from Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's throwing the crap out of the ball, and again, they're going against New Orleans, who again is another team that cannot stop anyone. So I think that those guys could really provide some good value for you. So that's all I've got for the DFS picks, and I think, what are we moving into now?
A little bit of starts and sits.
Alrighty.
What we do want to cover is a few questions that have come in through the website. First question is asking about quarterback situation. Do you start Russell Wilson or do you start Ryan Tannehill?
I hate saying this. I hate it.
I ain't got no problem saying it.
You start Ryan Tannehill
Exactly.
against Cleveland at home. It's their first home game for Miami this year. They're going up against Cleveland. Cleveland's defense can't stop anyone. And really, to be honest, this isn't a slight against Russell Wilson. The guy is injured. He's playing on a bum foot, bum ankle. San Francisco, again, division rivalry. They tend to play pretty well against us, against Seattle. So it could be a little bit rough on Wilson in that game, and I really think that Tannehill is going to light up in that Jarvis Landry is going to have a massive game. So
yeah, for as injured as Cleveland is on offense, they're not really injured on defense, yet they're still horrible.
They're still just that bad.
So until Russell Wilson can prove to me that he can get more than 2 scores and 250 yards through the air, I'm not starting him, because you can find that on your waiver wire. To me, it didn't matter if it was Ryan Tannehill or anyone other than Jay Cutler at this point. I would start Brock Osweiler before Russell Wilson at this point during this week, or even Carson Wentz. To me, I don't start Russell Wilson right now because of the injuries. With Baldwin banged up, Rawls is banged up, the offensive line is still in shambles. He can't really go anywhere.
Tyler Lockett had his knee got banged up in the last game. So
until the offense gets going, now I wouldn't be nervous if I'm the owner of Russell Wilson, because they were slow last year, still made the playoffs, still did very, very well at the end of the year.
And the Seahawks are always a second half team.
Yeah, there's second half of the season team. Second half of playoff games. I'm looking at you, Carolina. Next question. This is a combination of a start-sit and a waiver wire question. If Jacob Tamme, Kobe Fleener, and Jesse James are all available, who do you pick?
For me, I'm going with Jacob Tamme, simply because he's proving to be a high end target for Matt Ryan and has been last year. Now, Tammy's been known to kind of disappear, have some drops here and there, but he is the tight end right now in Atlanta's offense. He is the that number 3 passing option, with Muhammad. Well, and even moving up into number 2, Mohamed Sanu is kind of the two of them kind of flip flopped weeks.
Well, Mohamed Sanu is now like number 4 with Devonta Freeman, the running back position, kind of being the number 2 spot.
Yeah. So, Julio's obviously the number 1, but I think Jacob Tamme is the guy to own. I have not seen, no one's seen anything out of Kobe Fleener. He simply has not been putting it together yet. And I like Jesse James. I just don't think he can be quite as explosive because of some of the other weapons, especially after this week. You've got Le'Veon Bell coming back. So,
yeah, for me, I have a different answer. I'm going with the guy that no one wants to pick right now. And that's Kobe Fleener, partially because I have him in 2 of my leagues, and I'm secretly just hoping that the trade that I made for him is not going to come back to bite me. But honestly, if Kobe Fleener, week 1, I equate that to working things out with the offense. Week 2, 12 targets. Didn't catch the ball very often, but he's getting looked at. If he only had like 6, maybe 8 targets, I'd be a little bit more nervous. But he's getting 12. Anyone getting 12 targets should be owned in a PPR league. Tammy's not getting 12 targets, and Jesse James ain't getting 12 targets. The availability is there. If you can't do it against Atlanta, then you're looking at the potential of dropping him. If you've dropped him before this, shame on you. I think he gave up too soon. And hopefully he scores some points, and maybe that'll come back to bite you. Just because you don't drop your 5th round pick.
5th or 6th round pick. Yeah.
Not this early, unless there's an injury. Going on to the next question, once again, kind of a quarterback question. Cam Newton against Minnesota or Matt Ryan against New Orleans, who do you take?
Matt Ryan. And again, this is not a slight against Cam Newton. This is looking at the defenses they're going up against. Minnesota plays a tough, hard-nosed defense. That doesn't mean that Cam Newton can't just throw up a whole bunch of points against them. But if they can kind of model the same thing that Denver does, which I believe Minnesota can, I think they could possibly cause some issues for Cam Newton. They really don't. I don't know if Minnesota's defense really has a body that can match up to Kelvin Benjamin. But I think that Minnesota, for the most part, can do a better job containing Cam Newton than New Orleans can do containing, Matt Ryan. I don't think they're going to stop. I don't think New Orleans is going to stop anyone. So
yeah.
I think Matt Ryan's going to be throwing the ball all over the place in the Superdome. So
yeah, to me, Matt Ryan, not close. I am streaming quarterbacks in all but one of my leagues, and to me, Matt Ryan, not that he's going to be on the waiver wires, but I would take Matt Ryan this week. He's proving himself. He always does really, really well the first 5 weeks. Then I would start getting nervous. But he has done historically very well for the first couple of weeks of the season. Moving on to the next question. This is a standard league running back question with Eddie Lacy or Eddie Lacy or Sims. Who do you take at the running back position in a standard league this week?
In a standard league, I probably still go with Lacy. The Detroit defense, has had a little bit of trouble holding in running backs, so I think that Lacy could get loose. It's going to be at home for Green Bay. If you're going standard league, if it was a PPR league, I'd be going Sims simply because Sims is going to be catching a lot more balls out of the backfield. But his yards per carry right now aren't all that great. Yeah, he's going to get a ton of work simply because he's the main guy now for a few weeks with Doug Martin out. But I probably have to go with Eddie Lacy.
And I'm going to go the exact opposite. You said it yourself. With Doug Martin going down, Charles Sims is the guy. You had mentioned off the air that you felt Sims was having a little bit of difficulty running so far this year. He played Arizona, and Arizona's defense is looking very, very stout, especially against the run. So I wouldn't worry too much.
Unless your name is LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah, unless your name's LeGarrette Blount. But I think week one was I don't know how to explain how Arizona lost week one. But L.A. gave up a ton of points to San Francisco in week one. This is, once again, a road game for Los Angeles. They're not going to have the buzz of a home field game. They didn't really score that much. I think even in standard, I go Charles Sims because he's the feature back and Eddie Lacy vanishes literally off the field, and they put Starks in there for extended portions of the game. I like Sims. Getting into our last question, Carlos Hyde versus Seattle or Forsett versus Jacksonville. Ryan, who are you taking?
One more time.
Carlos Hyde versus Seattle or Justin Forsett versus Jacksonville?
I got to go Justin Forsett.
I was about to say, you're making me a little nervous with the pause. To me,
here's the deal. Seattle's defense does stop up the run pretty well. Carlos, I mean, again, but the Seattle defense is also known to give up those big plays here and there. Justin Forsett, for now, still is the main guy in Baltimore. They are going up against Jacksonville at Jacksonville. But, again, I like Justin Forsett. I'd probably have to go Justin Forsett. How about this? I think both options are icky. I don't like either one. So, but I mean, if you're going to just go with based on matchup, Justin Forsett.
I have Justin Forsett in one of my leagues. I'm starting him this week just because of some running back depth issues. But I like Justin Forsett in this game because Carlos Hyde has what I like to call the wow factor, the week one wonder factor. And if it's not week one, you're not getting much out of Carlos Hyde. So to me, Forsett is the one to go because Jacksonville's defense has been atrocious so far this season through 2 games. Seattle's defense has only given up like 12 points, or has given up less than 20 points in the first 2 games. To me, that should be good enough to win 2 games, but they haven't. And now getting into our pick'em and stick'em game, quick review from last week on who we had. Ryan, do you have those numbers in front of you, or do I got to grab them real fast?
No, I've got them right here. So,
I have them to kind of brag.
I don't think I actually had. I don't have the points for all of them, but
I do.
Yeah. Hey, at least a couple of these were close. So with the quarterbacks, you picked Fitzpatrick, and you stuck me with Prescott, and you won 23-18 on that one.
Yeah.
The wide receivers.
God bless the Buffalo Bills defense.
Wide receivers, you picked Victor Cruz, and I got stuck with Chris Hogan, and you got 13, and I got 9.9. Running backs, I went with Sean Drone, who got a whopping 3 points. So and I stuck you with Thompson, who got you 9. Hey, the one that I won, Jesse James with 11.9 points. Virgil Green, what did Virgil Green get? I don't have his point total. What did he get? Virgil
Green in standard got 4.6. against Jesse James, 8.9 in standard.
Okay. Oh, you went by standard. I was doing PPR numbers.
Either way, the outcome was the
I
same.
won one of them.
Yeah.
And then the defense, I picked Detroit against Tennessee, who got me 8 points, which is respectable. If you're looking at defensive points in standard scoring.
Tennessee's not scoring, but they're not really letting anybody else score either.
No, and what did Philadelphia get?
They got 10 points against Chicago.
Yeah, beat me by 2. That one fumble, honestly, it was that fumble recovery that that did it. So,
the Cutler effect.
Yeah. So, all right. So you got me 4-1 in week 1.
So once again, still looking for the kind of disciplinary action for losing, but I get to pick first this week because I won. That is at least the minimum of what we'll do. Looking at it, in the quarterback position, we have Carson Wentz and Brock Osweiler. Running back position, we have Jordan Howard versus the Cowboys. Running back, Dwayne Washington versus Green Bay. Wide receiver, Terrell Pryor, because he is the offense in Cleveland versus Miami. Enunwa versus Cincinnati. Vance McDonald versus Seattle.
Versus Kansas City. Enunwa's against
Sorry, Kansas City. I should have been a doctor with my handwriting. But Vance McDonald at the tight end position against Seattle, or Jared Cook versus Detroit. And defenses, we have Philadelphia versus Pittsburgh and Tennessee versus Oakland. I am going to do the opposite of what I do in drafting, and I'm going to pick defense first because there's 2 factors here. One, Tennessee is playing really, really well. 2, I'm not going up against Antonio Brown. So that's nice. And other than the fact that Antonio Brown struggled against Cincinnati last week, I do not see Antonio Brown being shut down against the Philadelphia defense. So I'm going to take Tennessee versus Oakland for the defense.
All right, so I get Philadelphia against Pittsburgh. Ooh, yeah, I honestly, I'm less worried about Antonio Brown and more worried about the fact that D'Angelo Williams is going to screw me for the 3rd week in a row.
Yay!
All right, so I get to pick now. I get to pick in all of this nastiness. Really, all these are ugly. Let's be honest.
I'll pick again because there's one that I really like.
Well, yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and go wide receiver.
Okay, good.
I'm going to take Quincy Enunwa, Kansas City, and let you have Terrell Pryor.
I'll consider it a win if he gets off the field without an injury. I'll consider it a win.
Here's the deal. Should we stipulate? This is just if it's just never mind because our platforms aren't going to separate it. If he gets points for being the quarterback, well, he won't be the quarterback because they have Charlie Whitehurst as the backup.
Yeah, they got Charlie Whitehurst as the backup.
So yeah, I'm going with Quincy Enunwa.
That would be awesome though. But I'm going to go running back, and I'm going to pick Dwayne Washington versus Green Bay. This is more to do with the fact, yes, this is going to be his first start. They do have Theo Riddick.
Well, Theo Riddick is going to be getting the start. He'll be used more. His role is going to grow a little bit. Yeah.
So Dwayne Washington takes over the Amir Abdullah role, but Dwayne Washington is bigger and more dynamic, in my opinion, than Amir Abdullah. Amir Abdullah is a little bit faster, but Dwayne Washington can get it done a little bit better on the goal line. So that's where I think he'll take a little bit away from Theo Riddick. And I think there's more more involvement for Dwayne Washington than for Jordan Howard this week. So I'm going with availability rather than the outside chance that he becomes more more relevant this week for Howard. Next week, I might pick Howard, but this week I pick Washington.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm okay. Honestly, this one was a coin flip for me. I think I would lean Dwayne Washington. This one was a little bit hard for me putting together, finding two guys that were owned in less than 50% of the leagues who are actually somewhat comparable. Because, I mean, there's such that you've got a couple of guys that are pretty good, a couple of guys in the middle, and then a whole bunch of garbage. And
Matt, the running back position is decimated right now.
It's so decimated. So, so I'm okay with Jordan Howard. It looks like his role is going to start growing anyways, is what a lot of people are thinking. Jeremy Langford, who I did not believe in at all this year, still don't believe in him, is running with a whopping 3.0 yards per carry and has already lost a fumble. So he's extremely effective, isn't he?
That's better than Thomas Rawls.
Who has not been effective.
No.
So yeah, I'm okay. I think I'm okay with Jordan Howard. He may get a couple of good looks. So. All right. You take that one. I got that one. All right. So quarterback or tight end. Quarterback or tight end. I'm going to go tight end. And I'm going to go with Vance McDonald.
Dang it.
Because Seattle has a tendency to have some issues with the tight end position. And here's a fun little stat that I saw on Twitter that people are not going to believe here. Or maybe I saw it on Facebook. Vance McDonald in 2 games has 3 receptions and is the number 2 scoring tight end in fantasy football right now on 3 receptions because he has 2 touchdowns. Both of them are like 60 yards plus. So yeah, I'd probably have to go with McDonald. So
dang it, I was going to go that. I don't like Jared Cook because I just don't think he's going to be targeted in the red zone at all. But I think he'll get more touches. But once again, the Vance McDonald factor, he's been getting bigger plays. And also the Seahawks have had a tendency to give up yards to the tight end. Yeah. At the quarterback position,
what you gonna do?
See, this is a little tricky because I have Carson Wentz in 2 leagues, and he's done very, very serviceable. But Brock Osweiler has way more tools at his disposal, and I'm not a believer in the New England defense. And I think Osweiler is going to have a lot better field position because New England's not going to have anything to – I mean, they will play well because they're the Patriots and they hardly ever get blown out. But I'm going to pick Osweiler against New England.
All right. Well, having Wentz against Pittsburgh isn't terrible, especially if they get behind and have to throw the ball.
Pittsburgh's passing defense is not the greatest.
No, I mean, yeah, they did well. They did pretty well against Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins is horrible. I mean, his own team is complaining about him and his decision making. So, Wentz has a good arm. I mean, John Gruden has a massive man crush on him. If you heard on Monday night?
Yeah.
So, so I'm okay with having Carson Wentz in this one. So.
Okay, well, that does it for the show. Once again, we want to thank you for joining us on the Skull King Fantasy Football Podcast. We hope that this week is not as deadly for your fantasy football rosters as week 2 was. Once again, you can look for us on Tuesday morning after the Monday Night Football game. We will record the show. But once again, this is the Skull King Fantasy Football Podcast brought to you by VoxDFS.com. My name is Justin. Thanks for joining us.
All right, we'll talk to you later, guys.